concept for the series is simple. What would happen if you took a vanilla Minecraft player and gave them all the mods to play with? Would they thrive in this beautiful and complex world? Or would it be simply too much for them to handle? Welcome to All the Mods 9. Hey everyone, my name is KryptoCal, and welcome to the next episode of All the Mods 9. Hello, Grace.
Oh,
Welcome back.
I didn't go anywhere. I have a grass block.
In the last episode, we finished all of the occultism stuff that we needed for the star, as well as getting our 3 apotheosis enchanting setups here that we needed to craft the mini portals. And in between episodes, we've actually gone ahead and done a little bit of crafting. We've got a couple of the mini portals done, all the nether ones at least, and we are working our way slowly towards getting all the resources that we need for the dimensional seed. We have 18 of the 5 times compressed endstone blocks, but we are still waiting on a couple more things, mainly the obsidian blocks. We still need to have quite a bit more of this, so we need to wait on this a little bit longer. We have a ton of seeds cranking over in the apiary for that.
And a ton of bees.
But we also need to get some more dirt essence as well and netherrack. But instead of doing that, I think we're going to dive into a few mods that we actually haven't really touched on much so far in the series. And we're going to need to get a couple items from them for the start. Those being Immersive Engineering. Immersive Engineering, we only really need this one item called the Railgun. And the Railgun is actually a weapon you can use from Immersive, which is kind of cool. But we need to get basically 18 of these to craft all of our stars. This is the only item that we need from Immersive. So what we're actually going to do is set up all of the multi-blocks over here in the mining dimension. That way we don't take up all the space back at our main base, and it'll just keep things looking a little cleaner over there. But taking a look into the actual recipes, the stuff isn't super complicated, just requires a little bit of extra steps to craft in different machines. For example, we have to get the advanced electronic components, which at first glance looks pretty simple, just requires an engineer's workbench with the blueprint. But if you click on the items here, you'll see that the Duraplast sheet requires going into a bottling machine with some of this phenolic resin. And if you click on this requires a refinery with some acetaldehyde. Now, one of the main ingredients that you're going to need for a lot of immersive crafts is going to be treated wood. Now, treated wood, you can make a couple different ways. You can actually go ahead and craft treated wood with some planks and some creosote oil. Yeah, so there's a couple different versions of creosote oil that you can use. All of them are valid ways to create treated wood. The thermal one, I think, is probably the easiest one. To get creosote oil with thermal, you can use the pyrolyzer to turn normal logs into the creosote oil and some charcoal. You can also do it using the immersive version with the coke oven, but this one is really, really slow. However, to make treated wood, we actually have a different alternative, which is actually really cool. And that is by making use of this handy dandy block called the alchemy table that we've been using throughout the series. Treated wood is actually one of the valid planks that you can convert any other plank into, basically bypassing the creosote oil requirement completely. So you can actually just take things like dark oak and just get treated wood infinitely this way for free, which is actually a little bit broken, but I think it's pretty cool. So let's take out our pyrolyzer here from thermal just to get a little bit of this creosote oil. So we're going to input all the logs up top. Jumbo tank is probably fine, and this should start to work. Nice. And as you can see, we are filling up with creosote oil, which is fantastic. It's not the fastest thing in the world, but we don't actually need a ton of this stuff, so that's not too bad at all.
All these dark oak logs. Bye-bye.
Immersive has a couple of different tools, mainly being the wire cutters, and also there is the engineer's hammer, which we've actually made in the past. This thing can be used to craft a bunch of different types of plates. But unfortunately, these do have durability, so you have to keep crafting more and more of these after a while. You can actually get around that by using the Eternal Stellas. We can turn the electrum ingots into plates just like so, and as you can see here, it didn't use any of the engineer's hammer durability. It's an unbreakable hammer. And we can do the same thing with the wire cutters and turn it into this electrum wire. Electrum wire is something that we are going to need quite a bit of to make all of these electrum coils. So we're going to want to get a little more electrum here. And I think Grace is setting up the bees. I think we have 1 bee set up for it, and that should be plenty.
700, 800 ingot, 900 ingots.
All right, so now we have a lot of electrum coming in now.
We're good.
We have to get the Duraplast sheets, which involves going down this whole process, but this originally starts with ethanol. Ethanol is made inside of the industrial fermenter by putting in basically any sort of seed or crop, which will turn into various amounts of the ethanol. To help you with your multi-blocks, getting your engineer's manual from Immersive is a really good idea because it gives you a little diagram of how it's supposed to be built. We can come in here, take a look, and we can go and check out the simple machines or heavy machinery. The simple machine I don't think it's what we're going to want. We need to have the heavy machinery, and that is called the fermenter. What we can do here is hover over the question mark, and it'll show you the required materials. So we can go ahead and make sure we have all of these on AutoCraft ready to go, and we can get this thing built up. All right, so I've made a couple of the items that we're going to need for this first fermenter. Just a couple of basic things from Immersive, like the light engineering block. You can make these mechanical components a couple different ways. You can make them either just using normal crafting, but it is a little more expensive this way, or you can actually use the engineer's workbench with a blueprint here, and it actually lets you save on some iron to craft up each of these components. But because we are filthy rich with resources, I decided that I'm not going to bother and just kind of craft this way. You can just control this layer by layer to see how to build this thing fully up. So to start off here at the first layer, we need a light engineering block, some steel scaffolding, and some fluid pipes. Next up, we need 4 cauldrons, the redstone block, and the other engineering block. And then finally, the last layer is just a couple of the iron sheets. And that is the entire thing done. All we have to do is take our engineer's hammer and hit the middle block here. And there we go. It's turned into the industrial fermenter.
That's cool looking.
This is a bit of a finicky multi-block. You have to basically input and export the items and energy into very specific spots for this to work. To give this thing power, it always has to go on this spot right here with the orange dot. That's where we have to add power. In terms of inputting items, I think that can be done on any spot that has a blue dot, where we can pipe right into this, just like so. Let's grab some seeds out here and throw these in. We should see that this is starting to work.
I don't see it working.
Do normal seeds not work?
I don't think so.
Are seeds
Here,
not valid?
try the honey bottles.
Seeds aren't
try the honey
valid, I don't
bottles.
think. There we go. That's working now. So now we have 2,000, 3,000, lots of ethanol coming in here, which is great. And I think we can extract the ethanol out of this side spot here with the orange dot. I think we can fluid pipe out of this and then into like a tank or something. But we don't really need to store the ethanol. We'd rather just send this in right to the refinery. So let's take a look at what the refinery is going to cost for us to build. It is a little bit larger than the other one. It looks like it is a 3x5 multi-block. I'll just move this stuff for now. I think that might even be enough creosote for what we're going to need. If we need more, I can set this back up again. But taking a look here, we need to get a little bit more material here. We need 2 more light engineering blocks, some heavy engineering blocks, some more iron sheet metal, and some steel scaffolding. There we go.
Ooh.
I'm pretty sure this will work. Yes, ethanol is going in here now, which is great. And to turn this into the acetaldehyde, we have to actually add a silver plate in there. Now, I don't think this actually gets consumed. It kind of acts as a bit of a catalyst. So let's just throw this in here and take a look. Give this some power. Yes, acetaldehyde is being made and the silver plate is not being used up. Nice. So we're almost at the spot where we're making the Duraplast. The last thing we have to do now is run this through a refinery to get to the phenolic resin. And that's where we're going to add in our creosote oil as well. All right, so we got to make one more of these refineries, which
The
is not...
multi-blocks do look cool, but they do seem annoying.
Now, this does require 2 inputs. One is going to be input from one side using our jumbo tank with creosote. We'll just extract in like that. And then the other one has to come over onto the other side and go into the other blue slot. Is this now mixing? Yes, it is. Phenolic resin is coming in. Perfect. The last step here now is we have to take this phenolic resin with a bottling machine and a metal press mold. And we basically have to run the press through this molding machine a couple times to get a couple of these Duraplast sheets. The bottling machine is pretty simple. We just need to get a couple more iron sheet metal, some conveyors, and fluid pumps, engineering block, and there we go.
Ooh.
Once again, using our handy dandy pipes. And as you can see here, this little glass tube is filling up, which means that it is filling up with the phenolic resin, even though we can't really see that in any sort of UI. But we know this is actually ready to be used.
Help me. I'm in a bottle.
We need to get one of these metal press molds. And these have to be made inside of the engineer's workbench using the blueprint. So let's go ahead and craft up one of these engineer's workbenches because we actually haven't made one yet, I don't think. Just kidding, we have 6. I think it was from looting the immersive buildings from villages. Engineer's blueprint, just like so. Place that inside. And now this has opened up a couple options here where if we want to get the metal press mold, we have to give this 3 steel plates and 1 engineer's wire cutters. Nice. Now give that thing a toss on the conveyor belt.
Okay. Whoa. It's stuck.
There's some power. There we go. Yay. Our first Duraplast sheet. Now we just gotta do this 17 more times.
That looks so silly. I like it. So weird. I like that.
We'll make it like a fireman line. I'll catch, I'll throw it back to you.
Do it. Oh, you just threw it back on.
Oh, I'm
I
just
didn't
I'm just
the
holding the
plastic.
Q button now.
Fabulous. Wow.
18 Duraplast sheets, which means that we can craft up the advanced electronic component once we have some vacuum tubes and also, what was that other thing? Aluminum wire. We should have plenty of aluminum.
This is juice. Look at this. It's like a cooler at a kid's camp. It's Kool-Aid.
Don't drink the Kool-Aid.
Mm.
There should be some more blueprints we can grab here. Vacuum tube, there we go. We need some glass, nickel plates, copper wire, and redstone dust. And now we can craft up some vacuum tubes. Oh, we made a lot of vacuum tubes. All right, so we have the vacuum tubes, the aluminum wire, and then also the Duraplast, which means that we should be able to put all of those back inside here and craft up the advanced electronic components, and we have 18 of them. Nice. The only other things that we have to get that we don't actually have are the HV accumulator, mainly being some treated wood, aluminum plates, and then also the HOP graphite and the bucket of redstone acid. The redstone acid can actually be made very straightforward just with this recipe here with a water bucket and some redstone. Now this one is a little bit more of a process. It involves getting some of this HOP graphite dust, which can only be made by using the industrial squeezer to squeeze down coke dust. Now to get the coke dust, we can just use the crusher from Immersive to crush this stuff down. And all we have to do is throw in some of this coal coke into the crusher and get ourselves the coke dust. The crusher is a bit of a larger multi-block, but it's still pretty straightforward. Gonna need some light engineering blocks, some steel scaffolding, steel fence, hoppers, and the redstone engineering blocks. All right, let's play the fun game of where do I have to hit this thing to... Ah, first try. Hazardous machinery. Yes, don't stand in here. This is danger.
Are you about to get eaten?
No, you are. Get in there. Ready to get this thing something to munch. We can turn some of the coal coke into the coal coke blocks. And if we throw it in here, if your magnet's off, this should just start to work.
So?
Oh, it does. It spit it out.
Yeah.
Now we have the coke dust. Now this needs to now be run through the industrial squeezer to turn into the HOP graphite, in case you weren't tired of multi-blocks already.
There's a lot of multi-blocks. in
But
this
there's
mod,
more.
Sorry, what's this one called?
This one is called the squeezer. And guess what it does?
I'm gonna take a random guess that it squeezes things.
Squishes. Hammer time. We squeezing.
That's uncomfy. The achievement name.
Can it make nut milk? But it is squeezing. It's doing the squeezy thing. Now we have 15 of the HOP graphite. Now, how much do we actually need of this stuff? We can actually make HOP graphite seeds using the HOP graphite ingots. Nah, it's not worth it. I'm just gonna need to make a little bit more.
I'm making the bee.
No, it's fine.
It's too late. I've been making the bee.
Well, a fun way to get more coal coke, if you actually have done the same thing that we have with our alchemy table, is you can put this in and convert it to coal coke for free.
Kind of crazy.
And there we go. 18 HOP graphite ingots all ready to go. If we did all this correctly, we should be able to craft up 18 of these HV accumulators one at a time because the redstone acid bucket do not stack, which means that we should have everything that we need to craft up the railgun. All we need to get is 18 wooden grips and 36 of the electrum coil. We can just use our infinite hammer here to make a bunch of the plates and then convert them all into the wire. 18 wooden grips are done. Nice.
I just was gifted a single piece of mana steel for my reward. Ooh.
I've done it. The
You've done
railgun.
it? Nice. That looks kind of terrifying.
Actually looks kind of cool.
Yeah, it does. It looks cool. That gets us one item closer to the star.
15, 17, and 18. So when taking a look at the Nexium emitter recipe, we've done pretty much everything else that we have to for this recipe, including the railgun here. The only two that we haven't done are the mechanical arm from Create, as well as the singularity from Applied Energistics. But I think instead of diving into Applied Energistics right now, I think what we're going to do instead is get into Create a little bit. The only thing that we really need from Create for this recipe is the mechanical arm, which takes some of these brass plates, which are really easy, the casing and andesite alloy, which are also very straightforward. However, we also have to get a precision mechanism. We basically have to use a gold plate and apply a cogwheel, a large cogwheel, and an iron nugget in this exact order 5 times in a row and then it has an 80% chance of turning into a precision mechanism, with a 20% chance of it being some other random salvage. I do want to set this up in our castle here. I have gone ahead and made one of the side wings a little nicer. And I think what we can do for the rotation is actually using a vertical windmill that we can put up inside of this tower. And we can have this kind of just gearbox itself down and come down to this area for us to use. Because there's lots of space up here that we're not really using. We already have one windmill bearing and some sails. You can actually use normal wool instead of sails as well. You do have to make sure that you glue the wool to it though. The windmill sails will basically allow you to put it onto the windmill bearing without having to glue it. Either or work. I think what we're going to do is just make a couple more sails here. They just take some andesite alloy, some wool and sticks. We don't really need a lot of stress though, so I think that should probably be more than enough. And we might want to speed this whole thing up with some sort of gear ratio. For now, let's just start off with what we have and let's see how fast we can get this going. Yeah, so we can just go ahead and do this, basically attach all of our sails to this main shaft. And then all we have to do is glue this piece all the way up to here. And that should count as a valid windmill. I'm just going to go ahead and attach all these sails and then let's hope this thing actually works. And we can right click this now and yep, it's working. So we can see that we have actually 3,584 stress units to work with, which should be enough. We don't need a lot of stress for this. We'll run some shafts into another gearbox here just to bring it all down. And now we have some rotational units to play with down here. And to cover this up, we can just use a casing just like that. And it looks a little more hidden away, which is nice. Now to make this precision mechanism setup, we're gonna make use of what's called deployers, which will let you basically deploy something onto another thing. So we have to make some of these rose quartz up, which isn't gonna be a problem. We have plenty of this stuff and we can just hold one of these in our offhand and one in our main hand, and then just right click. And we'll get a few of these just while we're at it. So 8 should be enough for now. We can make a couple of these electron tubes and also a few brass hands. Now, Grace was setting up a brass bee, I believe. So we should have brass coming in very shortly with a hammer to give us a couple of more brass plates. And that should get us a deployer or two. Probably not quite enough for all of the brass hands. No, we're a little bit short, but that's okay. So while we're waiting on that, let's go ahead and get ourselves a belt out. This is how we're actually gonna move the items from one station to the next, or to the next deployer, I should say. So what we're going to need to get is some dried kelp, which we have a little bit of, and a couple shafts. And the way I want to set this up actually involves using something called a vault. Now the vaults are from Create, which are really, really cool. And they actually act as a giant multi-block storage, but they can actually be really handy at moving items horizontally because these actually will connect together. We should be able to set this up just like so, and then just run it so that we have a 2x2 and then a by 5 long vault. This might actually only have to be a 3 long, but we'll have to just kind of play around with it and see. Place a shaft right here, a shaft right there, and connect them using this belt. Actually, let's move this up 1 block here. So we're gonna have the belt just like that. The deployers are going to be just like this. That way they're all connected into each other, so they'll all actually power each other, which is super handy. So then what we're going to do is just actually put a couple of chutes into these deployers, just like that, and then have one chute just go off the side. Then we can come up here and place barrels down on top of these. So we should be able to reach these still. With a few more belts here, we can just kind of extend our belts off a little bit more. We have to get rotational power to our belt and also to our deployers. That should work. And then all we need to do is add a gearbox. And that is the whole thing powered. It is very slow. Once we make a couple of these, we might be able to put a speed controller up here just to speed it up a little bit more. We have to make our first one before we can actually do that. So, and my absolute favorite way to label anything using the Create mod is going to be using these placards. They're a nice visual way of showing what's in each barrel. Small cogwheel in there, a large one in there, and then our iron nugget in the last one. We're going to want to get an andesite funnel, and also we're going to need to get one of these brass funnels because we are going to need to get some filters out. The list filter. Yeah, this is what we need. All of our items are going to be dumped onto this side over here. Our gold plates are going to go in here. So that's going to be a nice, easy drop-off spot. So that's where we're going to dump off our gold plates. And then on the other side is where we're going to have the precision mechanisms come in. So basically anything that is going to be considered a precision mechanism that's in progress of being made will actually be allowed into this vault here and spat back out on this side. So it'll basically like loop the whole thing through. So we have this all loaded up with cogwheels, large cogwheels, and iron nuggets. To test this out, let's throw in a gold plate in the barrel on the left here, and we'll see it's very slowly start to go through. Very slowly. Very, 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 very slowly. Now, once it goes through one set of processes here, I'm actually going to grab it because it's going to go through this filter here and come back out. Let's put this in our list filter where we want to only allow incomplete precision mechanisms into this filter here. If we send this all through, once this finishes its whole process and it either becomes a precision mechanism or some junk, it'll bypass this one funnel and it'll come to the barrel over here, where we then want to add a funnel. Just a normal andesite funnel is fine here to pick it up. Once we have this one completed, we can craft up the speed controller, which we can then manually up the speed of this whole thing.
Takes so long, brother.
I just need
It's
one.
like watching paint dry. So this is the create mod that people enjoy so much, I see.
Yay!
Oh, it worked. Wow.
And with this
It did
first precision
something.
mechanism, we are going to immediately spend it and create the rotation speed controller. Now we can use this with a large cogwheel to manually speed up this whole system up here. And then we can just grab our vertical gearbox. Now what we can do is come in here and grab the speed and say, go a lot faster.
Oh, that's a lot. Wow. Wow. It's zooming.
Okay, so out of
Well-
those 18, only 4 were junked, which is not too bad actually. And just for symmetry, I'm gonna put that right there. 19 precision mechanisms, that is one more than we need. We've done it. Well, with everything here, we can go ahead and craft up 19 mechanical arms.
Ah,
It's an army.
what arm? I see what you did there.
All we have left to do is the singularity for the Nexium emitter, and then we're all done that. Go ahead and get into applied energistics in the next episode, as well as getting into probably a little bit of pneumatic craft too, to get that pulsating black hole. And we are getting very, very close to the finishing
We're
of
so close.
the star. But I think that's what we're going to call it for this episode. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. I really hope you did enjoy. If you did enjoy, feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. But anyway, that's it for me, everybody. I hope you all have a good one, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Bye.